Hey YouTube, I'm Mrs. Dr. Lupo.
And I'm Sam, and today we're talking about the love languages.
I hope that you guys enjoy this conversation, but if you want to catch us live every Friday at 8:30 a.m. Pacific on Twitch.
Or if you would like more magical content, make sure that you like and subscribe over here.
Yep. Well, hello.
Hello!
We're in double digits, guys.
Oh my gosh, 10.
Isn't that crazy?
That's awesome. It is a little crazy, honestly. And you know what? That just means 90 more until triple digits.
Yay! All right, today we're talking about love. What's a love spell that you know? I should go find my spell book.
Just a second.
Googling love
I know
spells so we can appear today.
A love potion.
What is love? Baby, don't
I
hurt me.
Oh, I don't see. Oh, wait. No, yeah, there's only a potion.
Oh, there's got to be something else. Anyways, today's talk about love. Ready, set, ta-da! We did it. I like Kells. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. No more.
Oh, you gotta do the little head thing. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the magic word.
Hopefully, my pitch is so off that they're not gonna catch that.
Like, what's this song? I've never heard it. It's a remix.
Yeah, really, really bad remix. But hello, it's Friday morning, which means it's magic word time. And this weekend is Valentine's Day or Galentine's Day or
National Singles Day.
National Singles Day.
Isn't that actually a day though? Isn't that the day after? Hang on, National Singles Day.
And then otherwise it's Hallmark holiday.
Oh, wait. National Singles Day is September 25th?
They want 2 days?
Huh. I will take it.
Well, there you go. I mean, we don't have to celebrate that. But
oh my goodness. Were y'all doing anything for Valentine's Day?
We actually, what's so funny is let's talk about love and Valentine's Day. We don't celebrate Valentine's Day.
Same.
We Singles Awareness Day, sad is what it's technically, I guess.
That's so upsetting.
Very sad. We usually celebrate, it's Aiko's birthday. We know that she was born in February, but since she was a stray, so we're guessing she was born in February. And we just pick Valentine's Day because then it gave us a thing where people are like, you don't celebrate Valentine's Day? We can be like, no, we celebrate our dog's birthday. So
birthday.
Yeah, but yeah, we're getting her little cupcakes, and February is my half birthday. Today's actually Charlie's half birthday. Valentine's Day is the half to our next anniversary for our wedding, and so we just kind of just love on each other, and that's it. Ben's working that night, so like,
yeah,
there's not much else. What about you guys?
Nope, we also don't really celebrate. We usually get Leif chocolates. I might grab Eric chocolates. Other than that, it's just a normal day to us. Because I mean, in the end, what are we gonna do right now?
Yeah.
We can't go on a date. Maybe we'll like order our favorite food and sit in and snuggle and watch a movie. I don't know. But
that could also be any Sunday. So.
But that could be any day. I don't know.
I don't know. I guess like I've celebrated Valentine's Day in the past with like in other relationships and stuff like that, but never like where you dress up, you get very fancy presents and go out to this fancy dinner, all that kind of stuff. It's never been that. And I feel like every single boyfriend I've ever had has always just been like, goodness, because most of the time they get all stressed out about it. But yeah, usually like we pick up our favorite Valentine's Day candy and throughout the month, and then especially after the 14th, we grab that, and then that's pretty much what Valentine's Day is for me.
I feel like we really only celebrate our anniversary. Like, that's our Valentine's. That's the
Yeah,
day where we're just
exactly.
like, "This is for you."
And even then for
So,
us, like our we don't have to celebrate our anniversary on that day. It's always
yeah,
just like somewhere around there, let's take a moment and be like, "Yay, we survived another year," kind of thing.
we're still married.
We're still married somehow.
Well, I'll take it. Oh my goodness. So, let's do a weekly recap. How was your week, Sam?
Oh man, what happened
You said
this
it was a busy, good week last week.
Yeah, the week before was a busy good week. This week, I guess, has been pretty much the same. Um, it's cold.
Yeah, you said it was just starting to snow today, huh? Like
Yeah, when I
earlier.
was dropping Charlie off at grandma's house, it was -2 outside. We aren't going to see weather above or temperatures above freezing until the end of February.
Really?
A week from next Saturday is the first time that we get into the 30s.
It's so
Sunday's supposed to be like a high of -2. A high of -2.
what a blessing. Well, there you go. I mean, that's a reason to definitely not even go outside anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just but
That's
so
a stay
weird. I
inside.
don't know if you're like this or maybe somebody else is
Mm.
too. I don't mind the cold when I am outside. When I am inside, it better be warm and toasty. And I like right now my hands are like this because my hands are
Oh,
cold.
we learned on
But
that.
when I go outside, so like yesterday, the light was flashing on our hot tub, and I was like, great. Like the last thing I need is for this thing to break when it's freezing outside.
Wrong
It just
time.
needed a filter changed. But I went out there in just a sweatshirt and sweatpants, no shoes, socks, or anything out into the snow, and opened up the hot tub and like figured out what was wrong with it. And I was cold, but I wasn't like shivering or anything like that. But then I got inside and instantly goosebumps, started shivering. I had to get underneath the
Oh
blanket.
no.
Like I
Never.
can't be cold indoors. I can be cold outside. I don't know why my brain is like that.
That's interesting. I can't really be cold outside, but I can be cold inside.
No.
It's I keep my house freezing even whenever it's freezing outside, because I'm just very comfortable that way.
Mm.
But well, no, never mind. I can handle kind of the cold a bit outside. It's the wind. It's always just the wind.
Oh yeah.
Wind is
This
what
is a
hurts.
common phrase uttered by people in the Midwest. Is it wouldn't be so cold outside if it wasn't for the wind.
That wind chill, it's like
Yes.
icicles hitting your face. Ooh,
Yes. Yeah, the wind is always the worst. Like the wind chill, that's the part that makes you hurt.
yes.
It just
And it, like, chills you to the bone.
yeah.
Ugh, hate that. But, no, I feel you. I can't understand what it's like to have -2 degrees because here
I can
in,
see the sun shining on your
yeah,
face today.
it's, I know, the clouds just moved for a second. I had to close some of my blinds.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it's oddly warm here. It's only in the 60s, which Fahrenheit, by the way, which, that doesn't sound that warm, but it's also not cold at all. And normally this time of year, we're in roughly like the 50s and stuff. That's our about normal winter and rainy. But no, we've been in like 60s, 70s, and we even had 80s last week, which was weird. It's like, oh, what kind of
So
winter is this?
yeah, like we had weather like 60s and stuff like that in November. And so
That's
everything's
weird
just getting
too.
pushed back for us. But I have a feeling after this blast of cold weather, it'll be into March then, and we might have maybe one more snow, and then we should be good for the rest of the spring.
Didn't Groundhog's Day? Didn't it say it was 6 more weeks of
Yeah.
winter or whatever it was? Hmm. I mean, I guess it makes sense considering everything is shifting. Oh gosh, our rainy season has been so light, which is weird because like we need the rain here. Like we have
Yeah.
very low rain. So I've been kind of sad about that, not seeing the green pop up like it's supposed to right now. Oh
Well,
well, good old
screw
weather.
y'all that's anything above zero. It's not
I'm
fun. It's
sorry.
not fun. But what are we talking about this week?
We are talking about a little bit of love. We're gonna touch base on our personal relationships with our husbands, as well as basically our love languages, and maybe a little background of how we met our spouses and stuff like that. What drew us in.
Yeah. Also throwing this out here, obviously we are both married.
Mm,
And we are both married to men. And so again, this is a situation where it's just one portion of the spectrum of things, right? As far as relationships go. But
yeah.
that's who we are, and we're not trying to educate. We're just talking, right?
Yep.
And we're
Just
also
talking about
not
our life.
trying to change who we are to fit a bigger mold either. So
Yeah, these open conversations are not a door opening for people to give us advice that we are not asking for.
or
Just
criticism on
or
it.
criticism. We
Anyways, yes.
All right. So, I want to start with you. How did you and Ben meet? Of course, share what you're willing.
So Ben and I met in 2007.
Mm.
And I lived in a duplex in college with four other girls. I lived in the maid's quarter in the attic. So you had to get like
Ooh.
up a really tiny skinny staircase to get up into my room. On the other half of other half of my house,
These are half of me.
lived five guys, and we were friends. Everybody was friends with each other.
Mm.
Before we had moved in, there was people that were friends together, so we all just became one big Brady Bunch family. And in that house lived Ben's childhood best friend.
Okay.
So one day I had a Cavalier that just was crap, and it would crap out all the time. And I always had to put so much money into it. But it's one of those things that you can't afford the new car. So you just keep
Yeah.
pumping money into the old car when you can. And I couldn't get my battery. I think something was wrong with my battery or something, but we couldn't get my car to start. So a couple of the guys were helping me. And okay. Sorry, I'm
No,
brain went
you
somewhere
go
else for a
on.
second. And then the other group of the guys, they came back and they had some friends with them, and they were going to watch, which I always forget. It's the Star Trek movie where Captain Kirk climbs in Yosemite. That's like the beginning of it. I never remember
Oh,
which one it is, but that's what they were going to watch, and they were going to watch the riff track version of it, like Mystery Science Theater 3000, kind of thing. So you push play at the same time, and it does Star Trek 5. There you go.
yeah. Sorry, I found it too. Star Trek Five.
And
What
then
kind of movie?
so they were going to play the riff track of that movie where it just like makes fun of it and stuff like that the whole entire time. I got my car started, but apparently I was this crazy little redhead girl kicking and screaming and swearing at my car, and Ben caught notice of that.
Oh,
I was wearing like a plaid button up shirt, a blue plaid button up shirt that I still have. And that's why I was like, oh, I should have worn that today.
oh, that would have been cute.
I wore it on our wedding day. And Ben didn't know that I was going to do that. And then when he saw pictures later, he was like, wait, you wore that shirt? So they calmed me down and got my car started. And they're like, we're going to go watch this movie, go clean up and come over. And I was like, whatever. So I do. And this whole entire night, as I'm talking to people, Ben's on the other side of the living room, and he keeps trying to interject into our conversation. And like always answer questions and whatever. And I was just like, this guy is so annoying. He just he's being so rude. He's trying to like cut into our conversation, whatever. I hate you for the sun right now.
It just got really bright. Like, this hurts
You are
me.
an angel right now.
It'll go away. Don't worry, y'all.
So the night was over with. I go home. I walk past him to leave, and he reaches out and grabs my arm, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Ben." And I was like, "I'm Sam. Okay, bye." Kind of like I just just leave. So the best part about this is during this time, I am casually dating this other guy that I had super liked for the longest time. We went to college together and had classes together in photography and stuff like that. And I just really liked him. And he finally was like giving me somewhat of a chance to hang out with him.
Oh.
Um, and so it wasn't until a couple weeks later, Ben, he found me on Facebook. Apparently, he had been stalking me on Facebook and MySpace
I
for
love that.
a couple of days, which,
Okay,
you
I have
know,
to close
like
this line.
before it was creepy, right?
Yeah.
So there you are.
I'm there. It's so
So
bright.
he finally like reached out and friend requested me. We would start talking every single night, and he would like tell me, you know, all the nice things, and I'm just like, this guy is just weird, but I really like this other guy. Like, I'm finally getting to go on dates with this other guy. But the other guy was a jerk. He's very much a jerk. He's not a jerk, you know, in the sense, but he was just not. He was leading me on and would like stand me
Yeah.
up and stuff like that, and
No, we don't like
I
that.
was way more interested in him than he was with me. And Ben kept telling me that, like, you know what, you don't deserve this, but if you like him, just keep trying and see what happens and stuff like that. And then the day that he stood me up for the last time, I called Ben, and he was just like, I told you that like you deserve way better and whatever. And it was just so weird that he was the first person that I thought to call when this happened. And then we ended up going on a date the next day. And the end.
I love that. Honestly, that's such a cute story. I could imagine that being written into like a movie.
Yeah.
Just a little redhead character, you know, a little fireball over here yelling at her car. And like, you know, these guys coming over to help.
Exactly. And the rest is
That's so
history.
cute.
Oh,
Yeah.
his smooth moves to have me be his girlfriend were very thick. Smooth moves. We went on our date. Our first date, I went to his dorm and he made me pizza. And I brought my Ninja Turtle cartoons. We watched Ninja Turtles and ate pizza. But I ended up falling asleep at his dorm. And I was too tired to drive home. And so he carried me and laid me in his bed. And then he slept on the couch that night.
A respectable man, I say.
And like Ben wasn't like a player, but you know, he liked the ladies when he was in college. And so he was like, that was the first time that I've ever done that, because I knew that I didn't want just, you know, a physical thing with you. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr. Ben.
Oh, thank you.
You're so nice.
Yeah, what about you guys? How did you guys meet? Our story is kind of drawn out a little bit.
Yeah, no, ours is not nearly as romantic. So Eric and I, we had a lot of mutual friends. And back in 2011, you know, when Facebook had the beginning of the people you might know and stuff like that, I saw that we had like 20 mutual friends, and I looked at the mutual friends and I was like, oh, those are all like good friends of mine. So I added him. But I had just gotten out of a 2-year relationship. Like my heart was broken. Like I was depressed. It was horrible. I wasn't looking for a relationship. I was just adding potentially another friend. Um, so I added him, and man, this boy was quick. He messaged me and he was like, "Sup, cutie?" I was like, "Ew, get out of here." Like, that's disgusting. So I ignored him so hard for probably about a week or so, and he kept like messaging me like, "Hey, what's
That's when
up?"
pokes were a thing too. Did he poke
It
you?
is. He would poke me, and I wouldn't poke back. So he oh my gosh. He like just kept trying, and then eventually like it's like, "You know what? I'll talk to you. Fine. You know, maybe you're not a creep and I'm just being crazy." And so I messaged him back and we just kind of had like small talk like, "Hey, where do we know each other? I was like, well, I mean, we have a lot of mutual friends. I'm not sure if we've met in person. We may have, but probably not. And so we just kept talking back and forth. And I let him know. I was like, I'm not looking for a relationship. Like I just got out of a really, really bad breakup. I'm heartbroken and things like that. And he was like, that's fine. I'm not either. And he just kept going. And then eventually he was like, "So can I get your number to text you so that we can carry these conversations off Facebook?" And I was like, "Sure." Like I was
I
reluctant with
guess.
everything. He was super friend zoned to me, but I could tell like he wanted more. I was just like, just casual texting and stuff. And at the time, I was working at a paintball field and in college. And so I would always be doing my college homework whenever I wasn't busy at my work. And he would constantly text me, and I got in trouble for that.
Oops.
So, but I started to enjoy like our friendship that we were building. And he was currently at the time in Pensacola, Florida, because he was in the Marine Corps. He had just gotten out of boot camp, and that was where he was doing some of his training before he was able to come back to Louisiana. And so we were, friends long distance. And then eventually, I don't know how or when, but he like asked me out. Kind of. It was more like, are we dating?
You've been
I was like,
hanging out enough consistently as
yeah,
it is.
yeah. Because at the time, what was it? We were using, was it Skype? I don't know what it was, but when you have a laptop, and that's your FaceTime. So you use a little webcam and stuff. So we would FaceTime, Skype, video call one another on our laptops, and we'd hang out. And eventually it got to a point where like we were on the phone all night, and I was playing like Halo Reach, and I remember falling asleep playing Halo Reach with him on the phone, and he just let me sleep, and it was the cutest thing. And I was like, okay, yeah, we're dating. So that was on I remember it was on May 1st, 2011. And then something about the military just progresses very quickly because we were married 3 months later. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Mm, I still don't know. I mean, like, we had plans to eventually get married, like, the following year. Military's so, fickle
Yeah.
that he was just like, "Well, I'll be home for 2 weeks during this time. You wanna get married?" And I'm like, "Alright."
Oh my gosh.
Friend
So
zone to marriage.
our first date, or like how we became boyfriend and girlfriend.
Mhm.
So we had seen, like, we saw each other on our first date. Ben was super super nice and everything, and then we would hang out and talk like every day. We would see each other maybe a couple times a week, and it was maybe like a week or so. I don't know, it had to have been maybe about a month or so. Um,
Mhm.
oh no, I'm trying to think about it.
Oh my gosh. Do you see how red I am? I am blushing from the inside.
Oh no.
I am
Oh no.
blushing
Okay,
right
so
now.
for Ben to get me to go on a date with him, um I was supposed to go to Yosemite with my high school boyfriend, who were really good friends still. But Ben, of course, Ben's the new guy, and so he's threatened by that. And then also with a guy that I had a basically summer fling with, that I would go to Yosemite and live with him in the back of his car, or the back of his truck, and go
Oh.
climbing. So when we would go to Yosemite, we would totally climbing bum it up, and I would just live in the back of his truck. And you take a shower in the springs, and, and like all that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. Um, and my friend Jameson was coming with us this time, and so Ben's like, "So when are you going to Yosemite?" Because I'd been talking about it nonstop, and I was
Mhm.
like, "Well, in 2 weeks." And he's like, "So I have 2 weeks for you to go on a date with me." And then that was the next night, was like I was like,
Mhm.
okay. And then before I left, I think Ben was just so worried that I was going on a trip with an ex-boyfriend and also like an ex-guy
Mhm.
that I was really into. Um, and didn't know what was going to happen on that trip. And so he asked me to be his girlfriend a couple days before I left. And
Ew.
yeah, and I was like, well, yeah, because I really like this guy. And then the whole trip, like he's texting me and like calling me and stuff like that. And he totally ruined my whole disconnect from everything aspect of my trip. And he totally admits that now too.
That's fun.
But yeah, he 100% had to get in there before I left for Yosemite because he did not want to let me go.
Proud of him. Good job, Ben.
So he grabbed that before I left to make sure that I wasn't like not that I was gonna like planning on doing anything. It's one of my
Mhm.
best friends, and that would have been awkward, to do anything with this other guy in front of my high school boyfriend. So it's just like no, whatever. But yeah, Ben totally knew what he was doing, and he was on it, and he would like he set hid a note away in my suitcase before I left
Mhm.
that I found when we landed and stuff like that. So
Oh,
yeah.
oh, that's so sweet. I remember meeting. So Eric was able to come home from the military for about 2 weeks for 4th of July, and or no, not for 2 weeks. It was like a week for the 4th of July, and he took me to meet his family. Um, and they didn't know that like we were potentially talking to being like real serious because I'm a new girl. And his mom, she came up to us and was like, "Y'all better not get married before you're 21." Oh, okay. I didn't know this woman. I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah,
I do
I
know
don't
that
know you.
a lot.
You don't have authority over me." And now I love her. My mother-in-law is the best person. And
I love it that you call her your mother in love too.
oh yeah, because I love her. I respect her so much. She's literally a mom to me.
Yeah.
And like all of his brothers were making bets like, ooh, how soon is Eric gonna get married, or how soon would Sam get pregnant, or
I know.
things like that. And it's just like they're those kind of jokey people. And little did they know, like we were thinking about getting hitched. And I still remember like we were planning to get married in January of 2012. But just with timing and everything, we were like, you know what? It feels right. We decided on the next time that he was within his 2 weeks before he got stationed somewhere, which was in August, mid August, which is why August 12th is shared with so many people, including the lovely Charlie.
Including Charles'
So,
birthday.
so I remember like he didn't even actually get on his knee and propose until the day before we were going to go to the Justice of the Peace and get married. Because we were just like confirmed, like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you got me. And so the night before, he was like, you know what, I probably should do this. But he did ask for my dad's permission. And the funniest thing is, for those of you that don't know, Eric was a Marine. He's a former Marine, and my dad was Army. And so he asked my dad for my hand, and my dad looked at me and he was like, I thought I taught you better. This
Did
is the
not marry a
Marine.
Marine.
Yeah. He was like, should have married Army.
Oh no.
So- and that's always a fun joke with them. Um, but no, yeah, we got married August 12th, and none of his family knew. They didn't find out until we were already half across the country.
Oops.
Yeah, so they found out from some family member seeing something on Facebook and sent it to them. It was rocky. But the thing is, I told him to tell his family, and he didn't. That's not my place.
So you talked about your proposal. I'll talk about ours real quick, and then we'll move
Yes,
on with our
please.
stuff. But it's just so fun to reminisce with like these kind of
It
stories.
is. They're
And we
silly.
like that you guys get to know who we are too, outside of
Mhm.
just being in these chairs in front of you, kind of thing. So Ben apparently had been planning this proposal for a while, and there was one day I remember he called me, and he's like, "What do you think of hearts?" I was like, "What do you
Ooh.
mean?" He's like, like my mom said that she was gonna get you a like a blanket. She's gonna make you a blanket that had hearts on it. And do you think that would be cool? And I was like, well, it's not really my thing. And he's like, okay, I'll let her know. Apparently, he was at the jeweler with his friend Gabe, and they were looking at rings, but this ring had hearts on either side of it. And he was like, crap.
What a good
And
cover
then,
up.
like a few weeks later, we happened to be in the mall, and he was like, do you
Mhm.
just want to go look? I was like, sure, let's go look. And I picked out, he showed me two rings that he really liked. But like he knew which ones they were, but he was pretending he'd be like, oh, that one's pretty. I want to see that one and that one kind of thing. And I picked a third one. And the funny thing is he already had the one
Mhm.
that I have right here. And it's the one with the hearts on the side. Um, but he got the ring, and he said that he picked this one because it was low profile enough that I worked as a children's photographer in a corporate studio setting,
Oh,
that he wanted me to be able to wear it at work, but not accidentally like scratch a kid or something like that. So he picked something that
so
is low
thoughtful.
profile enough and super pretty, and it's exactly what I like. Um, but we ended up going, we would used to do like these really full fancy days where
Mm.
one person would plan from beginning to end of the day something for the other person. So we went to the zoo. We came home and watched our favorite movie. We went out to dinner. We
Aw,
went putt putt
that's sweet.
golfing, which was our first like out of the house date that we
Yeah.
ever did. As Ben took me to the putt putt place that he would go as a kid. And so we went putt putt golfing, and he told me that if I won, he would propose right then and there. And if I lost, then I would just have to be patient knowing that he would propose eventually. And I was
Oh, did
like,
you lose?
bring it on. um, Halfway through the putt putt course, we were tied. And yeah. And so I was like, okay. I ended up winning by 2, and Ben won't let me know whether or not that was intentional or if he planned it that way.
Aw.
Like, did he throw when I
Yeah.
was, when I was starting to beat him a little bit, or when I was starting to fall behind. And then, we were at the last hole. He gave me a hug because I got it into the hole and whatever. And then he got down on one knee right there and proposed, and nobody noticed
Aw.
what was going on around us, but because it was so busy that night that everybody
Yeah.
wasn't paying attention.
Such a cuter story than mine. How long were y'all dating?
Let's see, we got engaged in 2009 and we started dating in 2007, so 2 years.
Mhm.
And then we got married a year and a day after that, which is the traditional Scottish engagement period.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I didn't
Yeah,
know
so
that.
we got engaged on August 13th, and we got married on August 14th the following year.
So you've been married, this will be your 11th
11
anniversary?
years this year. So 10 and a
Ah, and
half
it'll
years
be
on Sunday. We've been
oh, and it'll
together
be
for 13 and a half years.
it is 9.5 years today for us. So it'll be 10 years this year.
Yay!
Dang, that's a really long time we've both been suckered in.
Right?
Like, what the heck? My wedding ring, which is something that he could afford from the BX, which is like the base
Mhm.
exchange. It was so lovely. I loved it so much. But after I was pregnant with the twins, my finger size went up, and it just wasn't worth it to keep trying to fix that ring.
My
So,
ring, because I got
mm,
my can't get it off. I don't wear it very often now, so it like doesn't fit very well. But
mm,
I got a new engagement band or like wedding band a couple of years ago because we could only
mm,
afford one that was like a couple $100, and all the diamonds kept falling out because they weren't in a channel setting. They were just
yeah.
held on by little prongs. And so I lost like 3 diamonds throughout the years, and I would have to go in and pay for new ones and whatever. And I was like, can I just upgrade it? But when they soldered it, I had to have them like before our wedding, I had to have them resize it a couple times because they would either be too small and then they resized it and it was too big. And the
Yeah.
metal was so thin at the bottom here that the day before we got married, it cracked. My ring broke.
Cute.
Yeah. And so I started bawling and I ran to the jeweler and I was like, you guys need to figure this out. It broke. I wasn't doing anything. I was just like moving stuff around and all of a sudden it just broke. And
Oh,
so they got it fixed. I picked it up that morning of the day that
good.
we were getting married. And yeah, that was, that was great. But
What
we
a
got
nightmare.
married in on the edge of a forest and had a little naturey wedding and reception. Ours was like maybe 150 people were there total. Um,
Oh,
and it was just like I did a lot of the stuff myself, so it was very DIY and all that kind of stuff. And my dress was pretty, and I was obviously trying to save as much money as possible. So we ended up getting married with only a little over $1,000 of debt from our wedding. And
what was your
we
budget, if you don't mind?
our budget was between 5 and 7 depending on how much my dad wanted to put towards food. So my dad paid the deposit for um for the hall, not the hall, but just like the location. Everything was in
Yeah,
one spot.
like
I
the
didn't want
venue.
to have to travel. So my
Mhm.
dad paid the deposit for that, and then he paid for food, and then we did wine bottles instead of an open bar.
Oh,
Um,
cute.
and so everyone just had 3 bottles of wine per table. We just let them go to town. Everybody was trashed. It was awesome.
How fun.
Um, but yeah, so he paid for that, and we paid for everything else. So we paid for whatever else that comes as part of it. But my dress was I bought it, not, it wasn't used, but it was on a site called Once
Mhm.
Wed. So this woman had bought this dress and it was the exact one from J Crew I had dreamed of. uh and in my size and everything. She bought it as a second wedding dress and then changed her mind, so it was still brand new and she was selling it for like $200. I was like
We have a good deal for our wedding. My budget was non-existent because we had like 2 weeks to figure it out.
yeah.
So the entirety of what we spent was $400. And that included the justice of the peace. My wedding dress was from Dillard's, and it was originally like 250, and I got it for 40 because it was on sale.
Nice.
So I got that. My sister in love, she bought me these like white flats because she worked at David's Bridal at the time, so she had like a discount. So she got me these like white satin flats, and then she she got a blue paint marker and basically colored them blue. So that was my something blue.
Nice.
She also got me like a garter belt from there and had like a little mirroring core symbol on it. And it was my wedding colors, which was navy and buttercup. And so I had that, and then she did my hair and makeup. Um, so that was free. And then my sister-in-law also knew somebody at a flower shop and a bakery. So I got discounted on our cake, which was like, it looked like we only had one cake because it was just super small.
Yeah.
It was just like a couple family, like it was just a piece. So it was a couple family members. And the cake was basically the groom's cake. So it looked like it was a sheet cake that looked like dress blues, Marine Corps dress blues.
Oh, nice.
Like the coat, it was really cute. And then my bouquet of flowers were calla lilies because that's my favorite flower. Um, and those were super cheap as well. And then we had our reception dinner. We just went to Olive Garden. So that
Those
was it.
breadsticks, though.
Yeah, so we DIY'd a lot of stuff and just made it simple and quick. Like, I'm kinda glad that we didn't spend too much money on the wedding because we were going to this year, but I don't think that's happening now. We were gonna do a 10-year, like, big just reunion with family and friends. Um, we'll have to wait, which is fine because I don't think we plan on divorcing anytime soon.
Yeah.
Parties can still happen in another year. But yeah, I mean, it sucks that we couldn't have all of our loved ones there. But the wedding also was kind of secret, Eric. So, you know,
I think our budget was about 7K. Not our
Mhm.
budget. Our budget was closer to five, but we got like more sides for dinner. We paid for the wine and stuff like that. So we ended up spending around 7K for our wedding.
Mm,
And that was like a lot. But I DIY'd all of the paper goods. So I made my own invitations, printed them, cut
ooh,
them all. I cut out of wrapping paper and glued into the envelopes liners that matched everything. So our colors were baby blue, black, and white with like a theme of like birds and nature and trees and stuff like that. Our
pretty.
centerpieces were wood slices with just tons of candles that I borrowed from a friend that was used at her wedding. We went to just a grocery store that did wedding cakes, and they also did our flowers. And I just had carnations with stephanotis flowers that had
What
like
are
little.
those?
They're like little, almost like buttercup looking
Oh, let me look
flowers.
these up.
They're white and they look like stars, and then they have a hole in the center. And then I had little diamond jewels like glued on the inside of each of the stephanotis ones. I basically had like a big puff ball.
Oh, these are so pretty. They almost
Yeah.
look like jasmine.
Yeah, a little bit. Yep. And then everyone else just had whatever with carnations. We did paper flowers for like the grooms or the ring bearers and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, we just like we made as much as we possibly could. For my bridesmaids, they just had to have a black dress that was roughly knee length. And
There
it
you go.
needed to be like, a stiffer material, not anything that's super whatever flowy. And then black shoes. And I made them hair clips. I made my hair clip. I had a friend do my hair, and my dad's girlfriend at the time did my makeup. My dad had a friend that was a DJ, or not my dad, Ben had a friend that was a DJ. So they did that, and we found our photographer and our venue and our food were the three things that we spent the most
There you
money
go.
on. Which,
That's usually
as
what
somebody
most
that's
people
been in the
do.
wedding industry for many years, super side tangent, real quick, spend the money on the stuff that makes you feel good and gives you a good time and then gives you a way to remember it. So spend the money on your outfits if that's going to make you feel good. Spend the money on your food and your location. And then spend the money on your photographer because you're not going to remember it without them.
I mean, there you go. That's good
Everything
advice.
else you can skimp on. Your flowers, skimp on them. Like, really, when it comes down to it, that's the kind of stuff. The cake, we
There
did a
we
small
yeah.
tiered cake, but then we did two sheet cakes in the back because nobody needed to know that they were sheet cakes. Who cares? It's cake, kind of thing.
I'm
So,
telling. I see
that's,
people spend so much on flowers, like just to
yes.
decorate the area, and I'm like, oh, no, no, no. Go to Michael's, get some cheap ones, make your own
Yeah.
arrangements, and there you go. Easy
Yeah.
peasy.
So now that we talked about how we met our partners, how we got
Hmm.
engaged, our first dates, and our weddings, let's go to point number two.
Oh my gosh, we've been all over the board.
Yeah.
So do we want to talk about our what's point two? Hang on. Where are we at, Sam?
What is that you naturally drew you
There you go.
in?
I found it.
What? Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. What?
That's a good question.
I had been dating a lot of outdoorsy guys and Ben wasn't. So maybe that was a change of pace. I don't know.
That's so funny. I think that that's what drew me into Eric because so normally the only guys attracted to me were not the ones that I was really attracted to, but I was like, all right, I guess this is what I get. So I always wanted a guy with like broad shoulders and like big arms who could protect me and stuff. But I only ever attracted tall, like very, very thin boys,
The
which
Ben.
is fine. Yeah, basically bends. And so whenever there was somebody that was interested in me, oh my gosh, arms, I'm here for it. I was like, ooh, he's spicy.
I like that.
I was like, "Ooh, wait, he likes me? Maybe that's what it is. And he just didn't kind of give up on me.
Hmm.
So I was like, all right,
I
I'll
think
talk
that's
to him.
what attracted me to Ben is that his persistence wasn't in a creepy way, and he just
Mhm.
genuinely was just a nice guy. And yeah, like I think that's what it was because he fits the build of every past boyfriend that I've ever had. Like
Mhm.
taller, thinner, darker hair. That's all of them. All of my serious relationships. I don't know how many you've had, but I've only ever had 3 serious relationships.
Only one was serious, and it was the one that was my last
Yeah.
relationship. Yeah, and he was tall, very skinny, and dark hair, hazel eyes. And now I have another dark hair, hazel eyes. I have a thing. I don't know.
Exactly. I mean,
It's just the arms. They sold
just
me.
the arms, just add the arms.
Give me those arms, baby.
It's like Mr. Potato Man. You could just, like take off the skinny arms. I mean, I dated, so I consider like a serious relationship where it's a decent amount of time and
Mhm.
it just becomes a natural thing. So I dated my
Yeah,
high school boyfriend for a little over a year. And, in high school, that's a big deal. We
that is.
dated a little bit more in early college, and then just realized that we were only friends. And we're still super good friends and talk often.
Oh,
Um,
love that.
yeah, it took a few times of Ben hanging out with him to realize that he's just a dude. That's it. And then I dated a guy in college, early college, for about a year and a half to almost 2 years, somewhere in
Okay.
there. And then we dated again on and off after he graduated and realized it wasn't working and it ended horribly. And I like talked to him. I haven't talked to him in years. It's probably been like 7 years since I've talked to him. Um, and then Benjamin. And then like smaller relationships in between. But that was it.
There you go. Yeah, my ex and I, the one that like absolutely broke my heart, we're actually friends now.
Isn't that so weird? Like
Yeah, and like
that's where
it.
you realize that there's something good about the relationship. You just weren't good together.
Mm, yeah, I feel like we were so in love that it was absolutely toxic. Like it was like you have too much of a good thing and it turns into poison for your
Hmm.
body. That's basically what it was. And honestly, like so we this is also something that made me realize that like Eric is my forever. Also, my marriage and my situation is not going to work for everybody. Please don't go marry your significant others after 3 months. We're very lucky, and it's been a lot of hard work. So, like, the thing is, I told Eric initially, like, "Hey, I'm depressed. I just got out of a very, very long relationship, serious relationship, and even whenever we were talking about marriage, I was like, I'm going to tell you, I am still in love with my ex." And because I it was only like 2 months before Eric came into my life. Like, I needed time,
So it'd only been
and
5 months since.
roughly, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really, really bad. Um, but Eric was patient with me and he constantly like gave me affirmation and made sure that like I knew that he was there for me as well as there for the long haul. And like over time you start to feel less hurt. But it wasn't until I was I was hospitalized with the twins for preterm labor. I was there for a month, and that was a lot of time by myself. And just before I got hospitalized, I was in a Halo party with some friends, and they were mutual friends with me and my ex before, and he had joined the party. And this was my first time hearing his voice since he broke up with me. And I remember like the panic because it was just like, oh my gosh, I haven't heard this in a while. Like he said, "Hey Sam," and it was just like I didn't know how to feel. I was very conflicted. And so whenever I got hospitalized, I just kept thinking and thinking and thinking. I was like, why is it affecting me this way? And it wasn't until I gave birth and I was home and it was still like maybe another month or two after that. And eventually Eric came into the bedroom and I was just crying and he was like, "Damn, what's the matter?" And I was like, "I don't want to tell you." Like, I can't tell you. And he was like, "You can tell me anything." And so I told him, I was like, "I'm still in love with my ex." And the answer that he gave me was what I needed because he said, "That's okay." And he gave me a big hug. And immediately, I was no longer in love with my ex. Like,
Hmm.
gone immediately. I needed that moment to happen in my life. to get over it, and it was 3 years into our marriage
Yeah.
for it to occur. So I am like, that man stuck with me. He can't go anywhere. Like, no other man probably would have been okay with that. So he's a good man, and that's just like, dang, heck yeah. But my ex and I, like, we are friends. My husband, like, we've all played games together because I no longer felt that attachment. Now it's just like you're somebody that was in my life at some
Yeah.
point. And yeah, I got a good one. I'm very grateful. It just took me a long time to realize
Yeah.
it.
So we talked
Um,
a little bit about what we wanted in a partner then. Like someone that's
yeah,
just patient, someone that,
understanding, yeah.
likes
Kind,
you for you.
please.
Yeah, right? Um, what do you what are some things that you've learned since being married?
I've definitely learned that you can't change people and their
People
bad
can
habits.
change, you can't do it for them.
I've definitely learned that socks will still be on the ground and shoes will be out of the closet. Uh, no matter how many times I tell you.
Yeah.
So that's the fun. But honestly, as a person though, I've definitely learned more patience on my part as well, because you're only used to living with yourself.
Mhm.
Even whenever you're like surrounded by either siblings or family or things like that.
Did you guys live
But
together at all before you got married?
um maybe like a week because he was
Okay.
home for like a little bit and he stayed with me and my sister-in-law and brother,
Okay.
and that was like it.
Okay.
So no, we really didn't know each other's bad habits. But I've definitely learned that having space from each other is necessary. Not because we don't want to be in each other's presence, but because it's like streaming, putting yourself out there all the time. You're just like, I need me time.
Mhm.
I'm sure there's a lot of other things, and whatever you say will probably spark that too. So, what about you?
Um, a lot of that kind of thing where you need to take the good with the good and the bad with the bad and realize that the thing that irritates you is not the thing that irritates them, and so you need to decide whether or not it's worth it to be irritated, or
Mm,
is it just a thing that's a part of them and you adjust with it.
yeah,
Like,
pick your battles.
yeah,
That's a big
exactly.
thing.
And that's 100% true. And then I guess
Mhm.
the biggest thing for me that I've learned from being in a marriage is that not all relationships and marriages are perfect.
Yeah.
They're I mean, you see so many things in TV and movies and all this kind of stuff that makes you feel like every single day is a perfect day.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's not. I mean, we've had multiple even before we got married and since we got married patches that we were just like, is this it for us? It might not be. And we had to go through and figure out what was causing the strain in our relationship and work through it. And did we fall back again? Yeah. Did we work through it? Yeah. Did we fall back again? Yes. Did we work through it? Yes. and and then it basically was just like we had fallen so hard at one point that we would climb up a few, like 5 stairs or so, and then something would happen and we'd only fall down two this time. We'd climb up 6 stairs and we'd only fall down three this time. And eventually it just got to this point now that we've just been riding on a high for the last few years that just is good. And when we fall down, it's only like one stair instead of the whole flight of stairs again. And it's just that's a hard thing, especially when you want something so badly and you are doing everything in your power on your side to make it be.
Yeah.
But the person on the other side is doing the same thing but in a different way. And it's not lining up. Like
Yeah.
the effort that you're putting in is not being read as effort from the other person and vice versa. And that's where love language is.
And community. Communication is key. People say
Yes.
that and it sounds cliche, but it's so true. It
It
really, really is.
100% is. Don't let
Mhm.
anything sit. Like
No. Go to bed
it's good.
angry, like, that's a thing too. Don't
Yeah.
don't do that.
It's gonna probably suck to be like, we need to talk, but don't let it sit. And
Mhm.
once we figured out love languages, that I think made a huge difference for us because I was loving Ben the way I wanted to be loved, and
Mhm.
he was loving me the way that he wanted to be loved. But we are complete opposites in
Yeah.
our love languages. And so, so I guess, do you want to explain what love languages are a little bit
Sure.
before and then I'll explain about our relationship with them.
Okay. So the five love languages, which I'm sure that y'all have heard about, um, it's basically a way, as Sam had said, like it's a way that you're supposed to love the other person, as well as giving them an understanding of how they can love you. And there's what is it? Is it words of affirmation, acts of service, gift giving, physical touch, and what am I
Quality
missing?
time.
Quality time. So, uh, say Eric needs quality time, but that's not usually what I want. I just want like words of affirmation or something. Um, well, I need to put that time into him though, because that's what he would need in order to, stay um feeling loved by his wife. Uh, it hopefully that makes sense. There's like different quizzes and stuff you can do. Sam was actually looking and seeing that there's like kid ones, so you can figure out like how to love your
I was
kid.
gifted the kids version. There's
Mm.
lots of green on it, so you can't see it. But I was gifted the regular version and the kids version. I read through the regular version. Ben and I have kind of gotten a grasp on that, so I donated it, or gave it to a friend. And then I have the kid version, which Charlie's finally to the age, they usually say around 5 is where you can start understanding your kids' love languages. So I think I'm going to start reading through this year and working with Charlie. I think I know pretty much what his are, but we'll see.
I
But
feel
yeah,
like
it just, I think it's a good way to simplify a very complicated part of life.
yes.
It's definitely not the end all be all. There is a whole like course, and I'm pretty sure is 5 love languages. Is it related to religion too? Like, does it connect into a religious aspect as well with Christianity? I think it does.
I'm sure that you could, but I don't know,
Yeah,
honestly.
I don't remember either. I
Ours is
remember
usually your spiritual gifts, which is something
I just always
completely
thought there was
different.
a part in here about God.
I think it's because of yeah, C.S. Lewis referenced them a ton,
Yeah.
so I think that
I
it's
just
just into
flipped through here and I quickly saw the 10 Commandments too. So
okay.
for someone like me who is atheist, I
Mhm.
just read that stuff kind of as like take it with a grain of salt. Look at it not as like a God thing, but as just an overall how the world works kind of thing for me at least. Um, and
There you
then I'm
go.
gonna drop the link in here for the different books. I really, honestly, I just read up. I took the quizzes, I read up on it, and called it a day.
There you
So
go.
like skimming through the book, it really didn't do much for me. But yeah, I think doing the quizzes is the perfect way to. Ooh, there's like love quizzes. There's
Ooh.
apology quizzes. What's your
Oh.
apology language?
What?
And then what's your anger language? Like how you handle anger and how you handle apologizing. Ooh, apologizing. So if you hover over quizzes and then or click on it and then it drops down.
That'll be
Okay, we're gonna
something
have to
that I
take
need
these
to look
later.
into later, yeah.
We'll take these later and we'll catch up next week about it. But what in order or roughly in order are your love languages?
Um,
I always have to look at the list.
yeah, where's the list? Hang on.
I have a list right here in my book. Can you read that?
Here, you do yours first then I'll listen
Okay.
and formulate my head.
Mine are uh gifts, gift giving, acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation, physical touch.
Sam, we have the exact same one.
Really?
That is literally my list. Yes.
Ben's is physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time, or acts of service, quality time, and gift giving. He's the complete opposite
We
for me.
have the same husband.
Oh, that's
Like,
Eric.
that's so funny.
So
The
here's
physical
where
touch
it
one is
wasn't working.
hard.
Like something is irritating you and you try to fix it and whatever. And when we would get into a fight, I would fix it by buying Ben a present. If I would go to the grocery store, I'd buy him his favorite candy bar and a card. Or I'd buy him like a t-shirt that I thought was really cool looking that I thought he would like. Or I would just do it because. And I got so much joy for going and getting him this present and that excitement of giving it to him. And then when he wouldn't like be as excited as me, I would feel like I
Yeah.
wasn't like he didn't care. And so then I would be sad. But then that was the only way I knew how to love. And so I would do it again. And I would keep buying these things for him. And he was like, why is she buying me stuff? I don't want candy bars. I don't want random little books or whatever, that kind of stuff. He wanted me to give him a hug. He wanted me to smack him on the butt when he walked past in the kitchen. He wanted me to spend time with him and tell him things about himself that he was feeling negative on that I was going to
Mm.
reinforce. And I did not understand that at all. Because I've always been a fairly confident person. Even when I would feel depressed, I would still feel very confident in who I was. It was always I was depressed on how other people weren't understanding me. Um,
Yeah.
and so even in my stages of at my lowest point, I was still very confident in myself. So words of affirmation, like I knew I was a badass. I knew I was great at what I did.
Hell yeah.
Like
Don't you
so
forget it.
it didn't and I've always been that way. And so it was so weird for when Ben's just like, I just want to be told that I did a good job at work today
Mm.
because I did something that I finally figured out. And I was just like, well, duh, it's your job. Like you're good at your job. So of course you figured it out kind of thing. But he wanted me to be like, you know what, dude, that's awesome. Good. Like, I'm so proud of you for finally figuring it out. I know you've been working on it for the past couple weeks. Please tell me about it. And instead I was like, here's a candy bar. I'm really proud of you.
You said you wanted chocolate today, right? For sure.
So that was the thing that was difficult for us. And it ate away at us so badly. We were trying to love each other so
Different
hard,
ways.
but we weren't feeling loved. And so then like he acts of service is one of my higher ones. I wanted him just to unload the dishwasher, but I wasn't asking him about his day or like, affirming his choices. So he wouldn't unload the dishwasher. And then because he wouldn't unload the dishwasher, I didn't want to give him a hug. Well, I wasn't giving him a hug. So now he is not going to, do XYZ. And it just went back and forth to the point that we were roommates
Mm.
and it sucked. And we had to hit super hard and then came back up. And it took years. It took probably about 3 years or
Mm.
so in our marriage to finally get to a place that we could be happy. And then we fell again for a little bit, and then we were good again. But it was just every single time it was going through and being like,
It's a roller coaster.
am I loving you the way you need to be loved?
Mm.
It always came back to that and communication. So once I had him take the quiz too, I took the quiz first kind of on my
Yeah.
own. And then eventually I was like, okay, this makes sense. And then once I read that your giving love language is different than your receiving love language, I was like, whoa, wait, hold up. And I made him take the quiz. He reluctantly did it. But after that, it was just like, again, like I said, the fall down the stairs wasn't as hard. It was just a couple steps instead of a whole flight
Yeah.
every single time that we would stumble. And now we're at a point that, if I piss him off, he tells me. So yeah.
That's how
Let
it
me drop the quizzes thing in here. There's a couples quiz, children's quiz, teens and singles quiz, and apparently there's the apology and anger
apology.
quiz.
I wanna know that one.
Yeah. So interesting. But yeah, definitely. Yeah. Have you guys had any situations where your love languages you've had to adjust
Oh,
for
absolutely.
each other?
So my top is gift giving, but that also includes receiving, and not in the sense that I need like something expensive or
Right.
anything like that. But I love the thought of somebody, my husband in particular, like walking around a store and being like, "Oh, Sam really likes these mixed nuts. I'll get these for her." Or like a, "Oh, those flowers are really beautiful. I bet Sam would love these." Or,
Mhm.
"This candle smells really good. Sam would love this." I like being thought of and in a way that is loving. And so whenever I get a gift that like is because I thought of you, that means a lot to me. Even if it's something that I really don't like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, that was so sweet. And that is something that we still struggle with that to this day. Eric is not constantly thinking about that. Like he's just like, he's practical. He's like, all right, I need to go to the store for some vegetables and this sauce that we need. And then he's like, all right, I got it and I'm out. I'm a browser.
Oh yeah. I'm standing
Even
in the grocery checkout line and I see a Three Musketeers and I think Ben would love a Three Musketeers.
mhm.
And then I would
Yeah,
get it.
or yeah, and I or yeah, checkout line, and I'll see like the monster that Eric really loves, and I'm like, oh, you know what, he really like this. And so I, in my head, I'm just like, why am I not being thought of the same way? And we've had this talk a lot. He knows, but it's something that he's working on himself, and I'm very proud of him. So that's been a constant adventure. And then the struggle that we have with his love language, his top one is physical touch. And a lot of that includes, marital relations. However, I have a problem with that. Actually, it's not a problem, it's who I am.
Mhm.
I am asexual, for those of you that don't know, which just means that I could literally just go without my entire life and I'd be totally fine. So it's like, oh gosh, okay, balance, because I love my husband and I want to love him the way that he wants to be loved, and I love making him happy and things like that. And like you were saying with you and Ben, it's concept of like, but I didn't get this.
Yeah. You
and,
can't do that.
and
As
uh-huh,
satisfying as that feels, is being like, oh, I'm gonna stick it to them because they didn't
uh-huh.
do this.
Yeah, and we don't, like, I don't do that anymore, but we definitely used to, and it's just like, it's toxic. It's definitely toxic. But now knowing, it's so nice. I'll go into the living room and I'll just give him a big hug, and he loves the big hug, or the booty smack. There are
Mhm.
moments where, sorry, Eric, I'm calling you out. He'll like be like, smack it, and I'm like,
Don't worry. Ben will be like standing
I'm
there
like,
and I'll walk
yeah.
by and he'll just start like shaking it like Shakira and I'm like, oh yes.
Yeah,
um
sometimes you need it.
yeah, but the thing that you've talked about is where you kind of ignore the other person's desires or
Mm,
needs because you feel resentful against them and stuff like that. It's like a gas leak. You don't realize
yeah.
that it's happening until it's too late and you have to get out, otherwise it's going to explode.
Mm,
And so get out can be multiple things. Either you get out of the relationship or you get out of the cycle that you did that caused the gas leak in the first place.
yeah.
And we had to be at that point at one point of like, are we getting out or are we going to go back inside and find the leak and figure it out? And I'm so glad that we decided, coming up with cool analogies like that is really fun for me. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
it is really
I'm so
good.
glad that we went back inside and figured it out. And now, yeah, it just
There you go.
so
Yeah,
good.
no, it's an adventure, and the thing is, like, even whenever you have it right for right now, it doesn't mean you can give up working on it.
My
'Cause
love language has changed from the beginning of our relationship till now.
what was it?
The beginning of our relationship, gift giving was on the low scale.
Really?
Um, it was quality time, which is still high for me, and acts of service, and then gifts, and then affirmation and physical touch. So gifts was in
Oh,
the middle instead of at the top.
There you go. I think mine has been the same, with acts of service definitely being my second. Oh my gosh, whenever I walk out of the office, because I work long hours and dishes are done, or like dinner's being made, or my son is being played with like dad, and like they're just having moments. I'm just like, this, this means so much to me.
Mhm.
Like, it just knowing that things are taken care of so I don't have to stress about another thing is so thoughtful. And
Yeah.
honestly, that can kinda also tie into a little bit of gift giving, because that's a gift to me. Like, I'm so
Yeah.
grateful for that. And that's thoughtful thinking about that, Sam doesn't need to come out of the office and do all this. I'll do it. And I'm just like, thanks."
The way that we figured out that it works in our relationship, and it kind of just happened with how
Mm,
our jobs are, is, I work for Ben, right? Like I work for the Dr. Lupo business. But the hours for that aren't nearly as long as the hours of being Dr. Lupo, right? And so the rest of my job is to take care of our kid, is to take care of our house.
mm,
And but it's not just my house and it's not just my kid. And it
yeah.
wasn't until I had hurt my back this week that Ben was doing the dishes and he's just like, hey, I just want you to know that I'm going to try to do as much as I possibly can while you're still hurt, but I'm really tired from work. So, what is the most important thing that I can help you with? And I was like, well, that's great because now I can just tell you what's like really irritating me, but I
Yeah.
physically can't do. So, dishes was the big thing for me to have him get done. And he's like, I hope you realize that I'm trying. And he'll say
Oh,
that every once in a while. And I was like, yeah, of course you're trying. But you also work like 80 hours a week. And it came down to it, and I said it in this conversation, and it clicked for both of us, is that my job is 20% Dr. Lupo, 80% taking care of our lives. And his job is 80% Dr. Lupo and 20% taking care of our lives. Right.
mm,
And that's how it is for us. And it works perfectly. I know what to expect of him, and he knows what to be expected of. So he knows that after dinner, if he can unload the dishwasher real quick while I finish up dinner with Charlie, then cool. That's
yeah.
what he does. Like he has those certain things. He always checks the trash, so I don't have to take out the trash. But then I'm not expecting him to like go through and dust and vacuum and do all the laundry because he's already worked a full day and I've been able to do it myself. So figuring that balance out for our family
Yeah.
of like kind of what our expectations are for each other and for our house helped a ton too.
Yeah, that's been a new adventure for us personally, because my husband's job ended last year during the peak of COVID, and I took on full responsibility of everything that like went to paying bills, keeping a roof over our head, and everything else. And so I'm basically the Ben in your situation.
Hmm.
I'm 80% Sam and 20% like the house. I'm really grateful though, because although I have my husband, my brother lives with us too, and so he helps out a ton with Leif and helping him with school, so that my husband can do his college work that he's doing from home and have his time as well. So it's been a learning thing, because I used to be the one that was all Leif.
Yeah.
Like I didn't work for Eric. I was 100% like homemaker. That was me. And I part of me misses that a lot. I miss just being around my boy because he is amazing. However, it is really nice knowing that he's getting like all this time with dad now that, he couldn't have before, because dad was the one working hard.
Hmm.
And dad is still working hard, but he gets to do it from home now, and that's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tradition from working all the time to being a stay-at-home husband was difficult for me, is what my
Oh,
husband
I'm
says.
like 100%. I agree with that. Like I had my own business. I had
Mm,
a successful business
you did.
for 5 years. Oh, well, I guess I closed it. Was it last year that I closed it, or year before? I closed it in
I think it was,
2018.
yeah.
So I had it for 8 years. I had a successful photography business for 8 years. That if for some reason I was single and on my own, I would be able to afford a life of my own.
Yeah.
And to give that up wasn't because of Ben. Um, there's multitude of reasons, but a lot of my health was very hard for me to transition to not being an entrepreneur and a business owner because that's what I've grown up as. My parents have always worked higher and like higher positions where they basically were in their own boss position or they were
Yeah.
their own boss. Like my parents owned a limousine service almost my whole entire life. Um, that it just was very hard for me to yeah, was very hard for me to get out of that and turn into that 100% I'm here for mom duties and stuff like that.
Proud of you. You've done a
Mm.
lot and you go through a lot with your medical stuff. And you're still kicking tail end.
Mm.
Look at
I always
you.
look at it as like and I appreciate people saying that like you're doing so great with what you can do and all that kind of stuff. But everybody has their thing. I mean, you
Yeah.
have your own health stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so when people praise me for that, not saying like don't stop because it feels good, but
Everyone
but
shut up.
I always want to remind people that everyone has their own situation, whether it's a health thing or it's a financial thing. Everyone always has something that they're having to push past to continue
Mm.
moving forward. That I think that everyone should be getting that high five and pat on the back daily
Yeah.
for you did the thing. You're actually doing something, right?
Yeah. Even if like words of affirmation is the last on your list, it still feels good. You
It
can't
still
deny
feels good.
that.
I don't need to be overly affirmed because then I start just kind of getting annoyed of like, well, yeah, because it's my job kind of thing. But
Yeah. It's
I
how I
think
feel
that's
sometimes too. It's
that's
like,
very
well,
much coming from my parents being entrepreneurs because nobody told them when they were doing good. They had to tell
mm,
themselves, right? And so growing up, I wasn't told a lot of the time that I was doing good and that like keep going and keep pushing. It was
yeah.
why aren't you here? And so I had to tell myself, well, like let me get there and then I'm gonna be, awesome and badass and all that kind of stuff. But
You've always been.
yeah. Oh man. I think yeah, that was is there anything else you want to talk about before we do some questions?
Just one more question. What are things that you continue to work on for your relationship?
Um, remembering that I am not loving myself in this relationship, that I am loving my husband daily. Daily I have to remember that.
That's a
It
good
doesn't
thing.
come naturally for me. I wouldn't say that I'm asexual, but I definitely have a lower sex drive. And that's something that has always been kind of like a situation for us too. And it's taking a lot of work on both of our parts to find the middle ground for that.
Yeah.
And
You know, I understand that.
yeah. And it just is like it's one of those things that daily I just have to wake up and uh when we were working through everything, and occasionally I still do this, I pick Ben's top three um love languages and mentally, and I used to write them down daily. And I would write down his top three. So words of affirmation, physical touch, and acts of service. And I would write down how I loved him that day. And if I didn't have an answer for quality time or whatever, that's not one of them. What's words of affirmation? That's not one of his, but words of affirmation, that'd be like, well, dang, I need to really, tomorrow, I need to hit it hard on the words of affirmation. And there would be some days that I wouldn't have anything to write down because I wasn't loving him the way that he needed to be loved. And occasionally, when I feel like, you just feel that disconnect sometimes. Sometimes life just happens and it's been days and all of a sudden you're like, I have not connected in a way that I need to with my significant other. And but we sleep in the same bed. But we're just going through the motions right now that I need to stop and sit down and be like, all right, how am I going to at least, find something to focus on to love him for him?
Yeah. No, that's honestly something that I constantly am striving to do better with. Cuz with so much on my shoulders now, I'm up and working before pretty much the family is functioning and I'm in bed before the family is because it also ties in with, my medical problems.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't rest, I can't work. Um because my body is constantly fighting itself with autoimmune diseases. So that's been a struggle. And Eric, he came into the bathroom last night, which, by the way, this man, he draws my bath every night. He's just like, tell me when you're done working, I'll go draw your bath. And I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, if you don't stop that, please. Anyway, so while he was in there, as the bath was filling up, he waits for it just in case I like have leftover stuff to finish really fast. He was like, gosh, I feel like I don't get to see you anymore. And I'm like, yeah, it's true. And it's not that I don't want to see him. It's just right now I can't. And that's something that we've talked about. And as he continues to work hard with school, I can pull back eventually. And
Yeah.
that'll be really nice. But I do constantly have that in the back of my head. It's like, did I go in there today and tell him he's doing a good job? Did I give him a slap on the butt?
And the thing is that I think a lot of people forget that relationships have seasons.
Mm.
There's gonna be a season where you're roommates.
It feels very roommatey right now, but like
And
I
it's
love my
okay
roommate.
because you guys are working towards an end goal. When it's not
Mhm.
okay is when you don't realize that you're roommates until it's too late and you're like, why are we here? But if you are actively working towards an end goal, so for Dak to finish school and for you guys to be able to kind of rebalance
Yeah,
the situation in your home, then
can't
yeah,
wait.
you know what? Head down, get it done because so that way you can get on to that next season quicker and
Mhm.
be have more fun in that moment instead of dragging out what is currently going on right now kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep.
And
I
sometimes and
don't
sometimes it's better to do that. We always say that if we're going to take a leap for something, we might as well just leap with as many things as possible.
yeah.
So the week that we got
Right.
married, I started my own business. I quit my corporate job and
There you go. That's a leap.
and we just jumped. And the same kind of thing is when we were going to start trying to have a baby. We moved into a house and Ben started picking up streaming and we're like, let's just have try for a baby at the same time. Like, so when we jump, we just jump with as many things that we possibly can, because if it's gonna be rough, you might as well do all of the hard things at once, because then
Yeah.
when you come out the other side, then you have a moment to breathe instead of like one difficult thing after another, because that's not what life is about.
It's true. That's how I felt yesterday. I took a day off of stream and like it was a longer working day than my stream days. But I had a lot to do and I got almost everything done. I missed out on one
I saw
thing.
that and I was
I'm just so
like,
sad. It was because of a building that closed at a certain hour.
no.
So that
Okay.
it wasn't my fault. Like I would have done it,
Yeah.
but I couldn't.
So
So, but I got so much done because I just jumped in and then I was like, okay, now I have only one thing on my back instead of 13.
right. What's something that
Much later.
you is there anything else that you are working on in your
Um, I mean,
marriage?
constantly you're working on marriage. That's what it is relationships are work. It's the same with friendships, and things like that. But just making sure that we stay with communication. Who knows? Maybe Valentine's Day. Maybe I'll celebrate a little bit this year. Give my husband a little more love because I don't work Sundays. Valentine's is a Sunday.
There you
I'm
go.
gonna be in PJs.
Maybe find some cute PJs and then smack them on the
Ooh.
butt a few more times to call it a
Ooh.
day.
Oh my gosh, I've been wearing so many MeUndies onesies. My husband's like, "That's such a cute look." And I'm like,
Maybe
he's like,
I should
"It's
do that because, like, poor Benjamin, since I can't be cold indoors in the winter, and especially this house for some
uh-huh.
reason, I don't know if it's because we have so many windows or maybe the insulation just isn't as good as our last house was. But I am like this in leggings or sweatpants and like socks and slippers, and I'm still under a
Mm.
blanket all the time. And Ben's like, I kind of miss your skin. Like, you can't even see my arms because I wear sweatshirts every day.
Do onesies, they're so fun. Well, okay, they're like with our height, you got like harem pants with
Okay,
it,
yeah.
unfortunately. Like your crotch is gonna be at your knees.
I have
And
a Fortnite cuddle team leader one, and then I have a panda bear one, but they're
there you
like,
go.
the thicker novelty
Fuzzies.
ones, not just
Mhm.
like hangout. So you get the ones from MeUndies?
Yeah,
Okay.
I got that Harry
I
Potter
like
one
their
even.
undies, so I'll go take a look and see if I
Yeah,
can
it's
find one of
nice.
those. Yeah, I definitely I need to do something. It's something that like I just feel bad. But at the same
Mhm.
time, the last thing he wants is to be sitting next to me while I'm shivering and complaining about how cold I am. So
That's why you just put your feet and your hands on his belly. That's what I do.
I did that. So when I went to go fix the hot tub yesterday, I came back in and put my cold hands on Charlie's face, and I was like, he's like, "That's so cold." And he's like, "You should do it to Daddy." So I went into the bathroom. Ben was doing something in the bathroom, and I walked up behind him and put my hands on his back, and he just full on screamed. And he was like, "Why
That's
did
my
you think that
favorite.
was funny?" I'm like, Charlie thought it was going to be funny, and I just wanted to make him laugh.
Oh my gosh, Eric hates it whenever I do it, but at the same time, if I'm like absolutely freezing, he'll lift up his shirt and be like, "Okay, just do
Yes,
it,"
Ben's
because he
always
wants
warm.
to
He
take care
calls
of
himself
me.
heater husband.
Yeah, furnaces, they're just walking furnaces.
Yeah, he can totally like he can be, just regular temperature and I can be freezing and he's like, "Do you want heater husband?" I'm like, "Yes." And so he'll spoon
Always.
me and then all of a sudden his body just gets really warm. And I'm like, "How do you do this?"
Yeah, I have to like push Eric off and I'm like, "No, no, no, now I'm like sweating."
Yeah. And then I'm like, "Oh
But
no, now my
he lives
nose."
this way.
Yeah. I don't know. Guys are just always so warm. I
Yeah,
don't get
Leif
it.
is also really hot. I
Yeah,
don't know what
Charlie
it is.
walks around in shorts and a t-shirt and with no socks on in our house and here I am all bundled up.
It's always so funny whenever they're like, "Sam, it's so cold in the house," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but that's why we're a bunch of sweaters." I don't mind it. I like to feel cold. I think it's because I am already just so cold that I want the temperature to match how cold my hands are,
I'd
so that
rather
they
just
don't feel
like
that
be
cold.
inside a fire. I'm the person that I eat my cereal sitting over the heat register on the floor with my shirt over my knees. So I make like a tent of heat.
I remember doing yoga with you, and we had the space heater, and it felt so good walking in there, and then, like, during it, I'm just like,
Oh
"It's
yeah.
warm in
I would rather
here."
have the heater on me the whole entire
Uh-huh.
time.
I know,
It
I
makes
remember
my
you
muscles
moved
feel
it,
so
you were like,
nice.
"Here we go." I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, thanks. Give me some more cold." But,
Oh,
so, should we, do y'all have any questions? Do y'all
yeah.
wanna
I
ask us
saw a lot of
anything?
questions throughout the whole
I did
entire,
too.
especially when we were talking about love languages. But if you guys want to toss a few questions in,
Mhm.
we have like a good 20 minutes or so to talk about them. And we'll answer most everything that you
Yeah, we
ask.
can. Unless they're loaded questions, and we're gonna be here for 20 minutes talking about it.
Yeah. Or unless they're questions, Ben and I have a thing where we don't talk negatively about each other in front
Same.
of other people because then it alters the perception that that person has. So like if I talk negatively to Sam about Ben, it would alter Sam's perception of Ben. Obviously,
Yep.
there's certain situations where it is called for, like if you are being harmed or something like that, or not being loved. But if it's just like if he's irritating me or something for the day, I'm not gonna go complain about it to Sam because
Mhm.
it's a minuscule passing thing.
Yeah,
So
no, same. We learned that early on in our marriage. Don't do that.
yeah.
We can
How
poke
did
Jeff,
you how
but,
did you
like,
start
only
the
like
conversation about things like love languages with your husbands? I mean for us, we were just in a hole and we needed to get out. So
yeah, kinda the same. I don't remember, like, there was nothing that was just like, "We need to discuss this very particular thing." It was more so like I found it on my own and
yeah.
was like, "Hey, I think this is how I need love."
Yeah. Now I want to know how you guys spend quality time together. Do you guys do no phones? For us, it's usually watching TV or movies. That's
Mm,
or we just lay in bed and talk.
we've recently been watching TikToks together. They're so funny. And we found we're on, like, Cat Talk a lot, and we just watch a lot of animal videos, and they're hilarious. But it's kind of the same, movies, shows, when I have time, or maybe we'll play a game together if we have a game of interest that's the
Yeah.
same.
We'd
But
always so we've had since Charlie was born and we felt comfortable being away from him and stuff like that. We started with monthly date nights. And now we have weekly date nights. And so every single Wednesday night is a night that we don't work. Obviously certain things happen, so occasionally it has to, because Ben has to work this Wednesday for a thing, but that's fine. So we just adjust it to another night, but we have weekly date nights. And that way it's just guaranteed. That means that we can't go more than 1 week without connecting with each other, and that kind of really saved a lot of of stress for us,
There you
that
go.
we were able to be like, you know what, I haven't I haven't given him a kiss or made out with him in 6 days, but tomorrow we got a night like,
Tomorrow, make it out.
and then I can like prepare, like, mentally prepare for it or whatever. Not that you need to, but sometimes that you just kind of forget what that's like when you go so long because you're just in that busy season of life of not just, making life
Yeah.
happen. So for us, like, we look forward to Wednesdays, and it'll be a couple days beforehand, and we're like, so what are we going to do this week? So like this week we had Ben's brother and sister-in-law come over, and we had dinner and we played a game together. They went home. And then we were watching the new Harley Quinn cartoon on HBO Max. It's very much made for adults. I did not realize that when I was looking it up, but it's very much made for adults. And so we've been watching through that right now. And we watched a few episodes of that, and that was it. So,
Yeah, we don't do weekly date nights. Are you and Ben both introverts?
um, he, I guess he would be an introvert that is extroverted when needed to be. Same here. I'm
Gotcha.
I'm an introvert that can be extroverted if I'm in control of the situation. And I would say that he is the same.
So see, that's like where Eric and I struggle. I'm extremely extroverted and he's extremely introverted.
Yeah.
And so
So you
trying
want
to
to always go out and do stuff. He wants to
Mhm.
stay home.
Yeah, even if I need to just go outside and go for like a walk, and it's sometimes I'm like, "Hey, you want to go with me?" And he's like,
I mean, I
because
guess I like
he
going out.
knows
I
what
just
it
don't
means
like
for
going
me.
out and being put in a public situation. So,
Mm,
like, for date nights, I would prefer going out to dinner and going to a movie versus just sitting at home because I'm already at home all the time. And Ben's mentality is, we spent all this money buying this house. Why are we leaving it?
yeah, I mean that makes sense too. Yeah, no, I always want to go out, and Eric always wants to not. So that's a constant battle. Because I, as an extrovert, being stuck inside, especially during the pandemic, is driving me bonkers.
Yeah.
And I feel like my cup does not get full. So whenever I mention that to him, he understands, and he's like, "Well, what can we do that is safe?"
Yeah. I mean, maybe
So,
instead of like watching your TikTok videos on your bed, maybe you can go sit out on the patio or something like that. So at least like your scenery is
mm,
different.
we need to get a second chair. We only have one.
Yeah, probably.
But it is a
um,
beach chair.
how do you not feel guilty for not including the kids on couple holidays such as Valentine's Day? I mean, we don't celebrate Valentine's Day,
Yeah,
so
yeah. I'm assuming you missed the beginning of that. Yeah, neither of us really celebrate it. We just get Leif chocolates, and we
yeah.
like, "Happy
But in the
Valentine's."
end, a lot of people a lot of people put their kids before their significant others. If you're like, rate the list of who you would jump in front of a bus for, kind of thing, or if it was you or the kid, who would you pick, kind of thing. um Ben is
Oh, I
number
don't like that
one.
thought. You stop
Mm-mm.
that.
But Ben is number one for me. And if you're religious, people will usually put like God above that, but for me, Ben is number one. And if I do not have a good relationship with him, I do not have a good relationship with my kid, because then we're just giving that negativity to Charlie. Growing up in a broken home that took a long time for it to actually break, uh, I felt that firsthand.
Mm,
So my parents ignored each other and put all their focus on me. And then I have all this like added weight and pressure to fulfill that kind of space that my parents aren't fulfilling for each other. And it was
mm,
just a lot. Um, and so I don't feel guilty about sending Charlie to grandma's every once in a while so we can have a night off. When it was safe, we had a babysitter every other Wednesday that would come no matter what. And she would get there at 5:30, and we'd be home by 10. And then that was it. She'd fold our laundry. Like, I really miss her. But it was just one of those things that I never feel guilty about spending alone time with my husband, because if we aren't in a good space, our family's not in a good
that's an important way to look at it too. I just need time to spend time with anybody.
space.
Eventually, I'll get there again. But I mean, Mm, if you feel guilty constantly about leaving your child at home or letting them go like to your grandparents' house or something like that, you're gonna hold yourself back from like
Living.
fun adventures as well. Yeah, like you can't circle your entire life and your experiences around, well, can my kid come? Because then that's a problem.
Yeah.
We love our children. Do not take this wrong.
Yes.
Like,
But I am
we both
Sam
care about our
first,
kids.
wife second, and a mother third.
Mm, yeah, it's fun.
How did you know you were ready to have kids?
Um, growing up in the South, you're just kind of beat into your head that kids you have young. So I got married. 9 months later, I had a son. Surprise.
I think we got married in 2010. Charlie was born in 2015, so that means that we started trying for kids in 2014. So 4 years after we got married. Um,
Mm,
there is no good time to have kids.
nope. If you keep waiting until you can afford it, you'll never have kids.
There is an optimal time,
Mm,
right? I mean, you have a house, you have jobs, you can support yourselves, and you're mentally stable. And you're in a good relationship. Like those are kind of the things that you need to really think about when having kids,
yeah.
right? But if you're just like, well, maybe after you get that promotion, we can have a kid. Okay, well then there's always going to be something else. Or, maybe next year will be a little bit more stable. Well, something's going to come up in the next year that may make you not stable. So then you're going to have
Yeah.
to do another year after that. And another there is just no good time. So I think just
Do
making
that.
sure that you are capable, physically and mentally capable of
Yeah.
taking care of a living being and financially able to support them. Doesn't have to be the most extravagant life in the world, but
Mhm.
able to support them, then
And love them.
that's ready. Yeah.
Yeah. Kids don't require too much.
No, they just
If
need a
they don't,
place to sleep and to eat and something to throw around.
Eric likes to say, you know what? I'm only what is it? The government only says that I have to feed you and give you shelter. Whenever he's being sarcastic to him, like if
Oh
Leif is like,
gosh.
but I want this, and he's like, I only have to feed you and give you shelter.
Have either
Don't
of you
worry, he
done
loves his son.
have either of you done couples therapy or anything like that?
Yes, we did. I back when was this? Our first year of marriage was extremely rocky, given we only dated 3 months. So it makes sense. And then he was going to be deployed, and I was not happy. Not because of that. There were other things that I will not discuss, but there were there was a moment where I was ready to leave. I packed up mine and Leif's stuff, and I was ready to get out. And he like I was on my way to an airport to leave him. And he kept calling me. I kept ignoring it. And eventually I answered and I said, "You find a therapist right now and I'll come home." And so we did therapy. And 10 out of 10 recommend. Therapy is good. It really is, both either in couples or by yourself.
Oh,
So that really helped us. We've never had to do it since because we have now learned how to communicate properly with one another. Of course, your love languages, how to love on one another, and things like that. And we've worked well. So yeah,
we've
nope.
never done couples therapy, but we have
Mm,
each individually been in therapy since being married, and
mm,
came out of it most times with more knowledge and information to go back in and keep trying. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, that me and my wife have been married 10 years, and 3 years ago I almost died. Oh goodness, I didn't reread
Oh,
reread a lot of this. I haven't been the same. My wife once, and my wife once is trying to help and support me, but I don't know how to accept it. What can I do to show her that I care? I'm just trying to figure it out. Again, loving her the way that she needs to be loved,
mm, yeah.
right? I mean, just putting that other person in mind, I guess, over your own. I don't know if you have anything else to.
Yeah, I really don't have much advice. That's something that you've got to um, ask yourself and figure out. One, her love language, how to love her. But honestly, you've got to love yourself.
Yeah.
And that'll teach you a lot about yourself and what you are capable of. Um,
RuPaul said it
yeah,
right.
yeah, if you can't love yourself, how the
How
hell
you
you gonna
gonna love
love
somebody
anybody
else
else?
if you can't? Oh,
Right.
can I get an amen up in here?
Oh, amen. Up in church. Oh my gosh.
And then all of a sudden, Sissy That Walk starts playing.
That's right. Did you always want to have kids, or did you ever second guess if you wanted kids? So initially, I wanted a really big family. Honestly, um, life didn't happen that way because of other situations. I've had 5 children. Only one is mine. I've been a surrogate. So now I'm in that moment now where I'm second guessing. I think about it all the time about how I want Leif to have siblings, because I grew up with 6 siblings, and I feel conflict within myself about how he doesn't get that experience. Or like if something happened to me and Eric, who would Leif have? So like these thoughts are constantly in my head, and now it's more so a part of, can I successfully carry another pregnancy? Would that work out with me in this industry that doesn't slow down for pregnant people? Um, how would that affect, me and my husband and like the work he's working toward? And just there's a lot. So I'm definitely at a second guessing stage because I love being a mom of just one boy, but I constantly want more because it's just the nurture in me. It just says you want all the babies.
I want the babies, just snuggle the
I
babies.
do.
I would be open to adopting.
We talked
Um,
about adoption, yeah, as well.
I would be open to adopting potentially. Ben isn't 100% on board with that. So right now,
Mhm.
it's just that's where we are. I do not want to be pregnant ever again.
On the opposite, I'm like, yeah, let's go
The
for
end.
it.
Do you want to be pregnant for us?
Sure, I'll be your surrogate. I'm good
It
at
came up in conversation 100%, to be honest. It came up in conversation. But at the
it.
same time, the same reasoning is like, are we capable in the industry and this life right now to have a newborn?
Yep, it's rough. I've thought about like fostering to adopt.
Hmm.
Um, but there always is stuff with that as well. Because then it's like, well, with this industry though, would I have time to put into a child that is potentially traumatized, or someone that might need much more love than I'm able to give? And yeah, it's just everything. There's lots of questions, lots of second guessing.
Yeah.
Um, in the end, I'd love to be pregnant again, but it's more so, do I want another baby? That's why surrogacy's fun.
Yeah. What are some tips when searching for your significant other?
Oh, I'd say don't search.
Don't search.
Yeah, don't search.
But I mean, I guess things to keep in mind when you are meeting people.
Mm,
What are some tips for that? Be open to not checking off everything on your list.
yes. But of
Because
course, stay strong to the things that are like your
right. There
non-compromises, because you're going to have
yes. There
conflict.
should be non-negotiables.
Mhm.
But if you're like, oh, they're left-handed.
My husband's left-handed.
Sorry, Dak.
We know where to sit
Um,
at the dinner table, so we don't.
so my non-negotiable one, my solid one that has been throughout almost all my relationships is they had to be willing to take care of my brother when he was older. My brother lives with my mom now. He's almost 25, and he has physical and mental disabilities, and he will always need to be with somebody. And
Mhm.
I was dating a guy that I really liked, and he met my brother, and he was so passive with my brother that it just was just like, I asked him flat out afterwards. I'm like, are you going to be able to take care of him? Are you going to be able to give him showers and help him do his treatments and get him to where he needs to go? And he's like, I'm in college. I can't answer that. And I was like, all right, bye.
Nope.
Because I can't take that chance, right?
Yeah.
I can't take that chance of waiting to see if somebody might be okay with it. The first time Ben met Dale, we had been dating for maybe like 2 or 3 months.
Mhm.
And so granted, this was, 13 years ago. So what Dale's 24 now, minus 13.
Okay.
So he was like 11. Um, and he was like, yeah, 11 or 12. But mentally, he was probably at like a 7, 8, 9 year
Mm.
old. And he was Ben was all over it. He was playing with him. He was ignoring me uh, because he said that he was trying so hard to prove to me that he was willing to learn and understand who my brother was, that I was just like, done. You're it.
Ah, I love that so much.
Have
Yeah,
you-
no, don't compromise, but also don't compromise on your non-negotiables.
yeah.
But be
Be
willing
open
to be open
to,
to other things.
yeah.
Yeah, like my top one was we need to share the same religion because that could be a problem,
Right.
and I didn't want to deal with that problem. So, but everything else, you can talk about it.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's okay too. People could say that, and some people could be like, "Oh, you that means that you don't like, yeah, XYZ religion or whatever." And it's just no. That's just a stress
Pick
that
my
you
battles.
are not wanting or willing to put forward, and that's
Yeah,
okay because there's gonna be someone out there that's gonna love somebody else for a different religion. It's
yeah,
okay.
and it also like puts a foundation of like where we are with our specific morals and teachings and stuff. So that's helped a lot.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other things that you can compromise on, especially looks. Come on.
Right. Like I dated almost all the guys have had dark hair, like dark
Mhm.
hair or like a light brown
Yeah.
hair. I dated
Mhm.
one blonde guy and
Me too.
yeah.
Blonde.
I dated one blonde guy and I was just like I really liked him, but there just was something about him that was throwing me off. And I think it's cuz I just couldn't get over the fact that he was blonde. And it's just it's so weird. He was a great guy,
Oh.
super nice. We really liked each other. Other things, made it not work. But just in the back of my mind, I was just always like, I never thought myself to be with someone that's blonde. Like I don't know. I
I
always
always
imagined
wanted
the
someone
tall,
dark.
dark, and handsome, and I mean, I think Ben's handsome, but tall, dark hair.
That is
You know,
handsome.
he's got that jawline.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel that. But yeah, my same with my blonde haired guy. Great guy. I broke up with him. He's the only guy I've ever broken up with. Oh gosh, is it a like a blonde guy curse? Anyway, only guy I ever broke up with, and then I started dating my ex. Uh because I wanted to be with my ex. Like I was already feeling feelings, and I was like, well,
Hmm.
instead of cheating on somebody, just break up with them.
Yeah.
So there you go. Are you a blonde keeper? Sorry. We yell.
Sorry.
Leif was born
Uh,
blonde. Well, he was actually born bald and then blonde. Now he's
Take your
getting dark.
childhood crush and see how it compares to your partner. Almost all my boyfriends look roughly similar.
Yeah, mine was Frodo Baggins.
Oh yes. Tempe says, "Didn't you say you had a thing for downturned eyes as well?" I do. I have a thing for puppy dog eyes.
Same. That's what Eric has.
Hmm.
We call him Happy Eyes because they smell
Yeah, when
bitches.
Ben smiles and he gets all like the little squinty lines, it's the best thing ever. But yeah, I have a
Yeah.
thing for downturned eyes. And all my celebrity crushes all have downturned eyes too.
Trying to think of all my celebrity crushes. Most of my celebrity crushes are women.
I have a couple of those.
They
My
all have brown
celebrity
hair.
crushes though look like Ben.
I don't know. I mean, mine are like Gerard Butler, Elijah Wood, uh, pretty much dark hair, blue eyes, and I got Hazel Boy, which is great because I am obsessed with brown eyes. And I actually thought Eric had brown eyes at first because of the photo on his Facebook, and I was a little taken aback when they were not brown. I love brown
Oh
eyes
no.
so much. But his eyes are beautiful. Eric, you have beautiful eyes, okay? They're hazel.
Yeah, mine are like I love John Mayer and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Jim Sturgis. Uh Pierce Brosnan was like one of my little kid celebrity crushes and stuff like
Yeah.
that. They all have dark hair and they're all taller with like that jawline kind of thing.
Oh my gosh, no, wait, my like childhood celebrity crush. Please don't judge me. I didn't know anything as a kid. I was just looking on face value in his music, but Michael Jackson I was obsessed.
Oh, really?
Obsessed to the point where I was like, I want to have his kids. I don't know what that meant. I don't know what that meant at all. I remember his 40th anniversary, like performance, and I was
Uh-huh.
watching it. I was like crying in my living room. I was just like, ah! Sorry, don't judge me, please.
Oh,
I'm an adult now.
that's
I think I was
that's
like
awesome.
9 at the time. Anyway, that's fun.
Yay. Oh, well, thanks for talking about your love.
No, thank you. This was really nice, and I hope that y'all enjoyed getting to know us a bit more in our backgrounds and how we have maneuvered somehow to capture these boys.
I'll check back on later this year when I finally get through this. But I think I in the back of this, and I'm assuming it's the same quiz that's online,
Probably.
is the kids one. Find it. So it's called the Love Language Mystery Game because it makes it fun for kids. And so
Nancy Drew,
basically, to
love
your
language.
kids, you read out 2 sentences at a time, and then you circle the one that they think that they would rather hear coming from their parents. So, like, give me a
Ooh,
hug, or you are terrific. And then which one? And then do you have more A's, B's, C's, D's, or E's? And then A stands for physical touch, B is words of affirmation, C is for gifts, D is for acts of service, and E is for quality time.
there you go.
Um,
Ooh, I'll be curious to hear what Charlie is. I need to pick
Yeah,
that up
so
for
I think I might ask him this soon, and then I'll go through a read. There's certain ones like I've got a special birthday
Mhm.
present for you, or I'll help you with your project. Charlie's pick and C. That kid loves presents,
He
very much
loves.
so.
Leif
Let's
does
watch TV
too.
together. Tag, you're it.
Yeah, Leif is definitely, I think that his top would probably be quality time. He just wants us to spend time with him all the
Yep,
time.
Charlie's is going to be quality time and gift giving.
Yeah, I think Leif's is going to be quality time and probably words of affirmation and then gift giving. Or flip those two. I'm not sure. I don't know. He might like physical touch too. He's a hugger.
Yeah.
I don't know. I need to pick that book up. Now I'm curious.
Well, you can do the quiz online. I'll draw. Do I
Oh,
still have
that's
this
true.
pasted? Yeah. There's the quiz for five love languages. Even if you are not in a relationship, I still recommend doing the quiz because it works for any relationship, for friendships, for with your family. That definitely kind of opened up my eyes a little bit for how I respond to my parents' affection because my parents have very different love languages than me, and so I just see it as like a you don't love me enough,
Oh,
but it's and a lot of other things, another day, another story kind of thing. But growing
see.
up, it was always felt like my parents didn't love me as much as I thought they needed to because they weren't loving me the way that I needed to be loved.
I feel that. Heck. All right. Shall we wrap?
Shall we wrap? Yeah.
All right. We are two double Sams put it together. There's bread. You add some jam, and then you squish our heads together. We're a sandwich, and we're ready to end the magic word show. And you go hug Ben.
Bye, everybody.